During the recent Shadowverse Worlds Beyond test play event that was held in Japan, there was a Q&A session where KMR answered some questions submitted by players, as well as a few questions from content creators. As usual, I'm not really a fan of summarizing the whole thing, so I'll be adding in my thoughts on some of the stuff they revealed, as well as whatever information I've been able to gather from people who actually attended the event. I've linked the official stream archive and the official summary of the Q&A in the description if you want to refer to those. The first question was about why they chose to make a sequel over updating the original game. They basically said that with the current game system there were limits to what they could do with it, so they updated the game for the sake of the future. It also creates a good opportunity for new players to come in. In actuality, Shadowverse does run on a very old engine and you can feel the game isn't super smooth compared to more modern games out there. And based on the testimony of players that actually went for the playtest, it seems like there generally is a huge improvement to how smooth and fast the game runs. They did play some games on stream as well towards the end of the event, and everything does look much smoother to me at least. I imagine it's gonna feel much better to play compared to the Shadowverse we have now. The next question was about what you'll be able to do at Shadowverse Park, the metaverse function they're adding to the game. And there's gonna be three main parts to it: the lobby, room, and guild lounge. The lobby is a card shop style space for socializing with people and will have some features like actual tables to make the social aspect of the game feel more engaging. The room is your private space that you can decorate and invite friends over to, and it also apparently has a special training mode feature where you can play the game with voice chat and while showing each other your hands, supposedly to help you teach and practice the game with each other. The last aspect is the guild lounge, which seems to carry on the guild feature that Shadowverse had, while adding guild rankings and levels to give you something to strive for. You'll apparently also unlock more guild lounge features as your guild rank and level increases, and as they've already shown that you can indeed play soccer with your guild mates, and there's a possibility of them adding more minigames in the future, so the mahjong dream might still be alive. Overall, seems like a pretty solid change to strengthen the social aspect of the game, which tends to be one of the bigger gaps between online and paper card games. I think Shadowverse has always paid more attention to the social aspect of the game compared to most other online card games, with regular in-person events like Rage as the biggest example. This is most likely another step in the direction, and for people who like to socialize and feel a sense of community with other players, this can be a pretty good change. Also gives you more things to do with your friends in-game as well. Also, part of me wonders if the training mode can be used to just play a version of Shadowverse where players can see each other's hands. It might make for an interesting video idea. The next question was from the official Arisa cosplayer and was unsurprisingly about whether Arisa's role in the game is over. Normally this would be a pretty low priority question for me, but they did reveal some pretty big things here. First, the world that the OG Shadowverse story takes place in is connected to this one, so there is a good chance Arisa will show up in the story at some point, I think. Secondly, they've said that the OG main cast will have playable skins that you can purchase when the game launches. Unfortunately, they didn't reveal whether it will be for rupees or with real life money. Also, we know that Luna is confirmed for Abyss Craft, but they unfortunately didn't mention whether Urias will still be available as well, though I personally suspect that he will be. Animated home screens of the main cast like the ones we have in OG Shadowverse can also be carried over to Worlds Beyond by linking your game data. Third, animated backgrounds featuring the main cast of Worlds Beyond will also be available from the start, so if you prefer one of the newer characters, you can use their background instead. Also, a huge feature that they didn't reveal during the Q&A for some reason, but according to people who went for the test play, the Dryzen background that was preset on the test play stations also had voice lines and talked when you tapped on her. I've heard it being compared to the home screens in Princess Connect, so here's an example from there if you want to see what it might look like. I expect this feature to be added to the home screens of other main characters of Worlds Beyond, but I don't know if it'll be applied to any of the home screens you carry over from OG Shadowverse. As an added bonus here, they've shown what home screens look like in the official X account, so let's have a look. You can see the icons and style are more modern instead of the big rusty looking buttons we have in the original game. Overall, some nice changes that should make the game feel at least a little better to play. The next question was about the main setting of this time's story. To put it simply, the main cast this time are all participating in something called the Feast of Wolves for some reason or another, and the first few parts will probably cover the worlds each character comes from. Not much to cover here, just hope it's gonna be a fun read, I guess. Next, the question about whether Take-Two will make a return and if there will be any changes to how rotation works. They're working on revamping Take-Two and its planned release is somewhere around the 3rd expansion because the card pool will be too small otherwise. Rotation will be added in alongside Unlimited when they've released enough expansions for it. And since Worlds Beyond will be working on a 2-month expansion cycle, they'll probably adjust how many packs are available in each rotation format as well. Not really a Take-Two player, but the delay makes sense to me. As for rotation, I hope they increase the number of packs available in each rotation. Having a bigger card pool to work with should make for more fun deck building and less chance of playing against the same few decks over and over again. One thing I do want to note here though is that they haven't said whether there'll be mini expansions in Worlds Beyond or how big each expansion is going to be, so I'm a bit worried whether this will actually represent an increase in card pool size or not. I guess we'll have to wait and see. The next question was about the development of Super Evolution. Now, for the most part, their main philosophy with how Super Evolution became what it is now is that they want it to be a flashy, impactful mechanic, so they've added a bunch of effects to make it a clear step up from regular Evolution, as well as to make it more visually impactful. Watching the gameplay from the stream, I can definitely say that Super Evolution was very flashy, and the visuals really stand out during the game. This also seems to be the impression of the players who got to play the game during the event as well. Seems like it's going to be a fun mechanic to play with from both a casual and hardcore standpoint. And by the way, as you can see here, evolution animations now stop the timer, which is very nice. Also, almost completely unrelated side tangent here, but if you look at this footage from the stream, whenever evolved or super evolved followers deal damage to things, the impact causes some parts of the board like these lamps to shake. Just thought it was a cool detail, so I wanted to mention it. Moving on. Next, the Japanese content creator Kamonohashi jokingly demanded that they give us Dragon Oracle back. In response, they explained they mainly nerfed Oracle to address the issue of it being easy to play going first while being hard to play going second, as well as the issue of Dragon Oracle being so strong it makes it hard to design other RAM cards. Overall, I say this makes sense and we'll hopefully see more variety in RAM cards from now on. Oracle was so strong that if you wanted to put RAM cards in your deck, it was always the first card you put in, which makes it stand out among other basic cards. According to the playtesters, the Dragon deck was still very strong and Dragon Sign was still playable even at 3. Next are the things you can carry over to Worlds Beyond by linking your game data. As this infographic they released shows, you can get packs based on rank milestones, some titles for gameplay based achievements, Grandmaster sleeves for each season that you managed to hit GM, and access to the original art of some token followers for classes if you've hit level 100 with them in the original game. You also get to carry over emblems and home screen backgrounds of the non-collab leader skins you own, in addition to getting a poster you can use to decorate your room with in-game. Finally, just by linking the game data, you'll get some card packs, card sleeves of the original Shadowverse card back, and access to your battle records from the original game. This is probably the only place in Worlds Beyond where you can see Shadow and Blood being depicted as separate classes. There really isn't that much change here from what they've announced in the past, so nothing surprising here. I'm just wondering if the home screen backgrounds you can carry over will come with voice lines or not, but I'm not gonna be too optimistic on that one. Next is about why they added the extra PP mechanic. The main idea is that instead of relying on cards like Metatron and Ramiel to balance going first versus going second, they wanted to build the balancing of turn order into the rules of the game itself. Having the ability to gain an extra play point for a turn gives the player going second the ability to use that to their advantage to take control of the game. There's actually a lot to talk about for this one. First, some notes from the playtesters. The extra PP doesn't activate Overflow, allows you to get 11 PP in a single turn, and you can undo it if you haven't already spent the play point. It also seems like playing with the mechanic will take some getting used to, as it's quite easy to forget about the extra play point you get from turns 1 to 5, since there's no animation unlike with the turn 6 one. If you forget to spend it, it's gone for the game. Finally, it seems like the extra play point is actually quite strong and does a good job of giving more power to the player going second. I've even heard some people say that going second might actually feel stronger than going first sometimes as well, though I don't have enough data on that one to say with confidence. It'll definitely take some time to learn when and how to use it before we can fully appreciate the strength of the mechanic though. Next is something that probably doesn't matter to most people, the addition of streamer mode. Turning it on allows users to hide information like their user ID and email, as well as opponents' usernames and collaboration music and cards. They've also added a warp code feature to Shadowverse Park that will allow a streamer to make it so viewers can all enter the same lobby that they're in. In addition, they're considering adding the ability for streamers to book out a whole lobby for themselves to hold events for their fans, which sounds pretty cool. I will point out here that them talking about hiding emails makes me slightly concerned that your email will be public information, though I don't think it actually means that anyone can access your email through the game. Most likely it just means that you won't accidentally show your email on screen while you're streaming the game. At least I hope that's what it means. Anyway, some nice features that I'll hopefully be able to make good use of at some point. Next is some tournament information that they left out of the English version for some reason. From now until Worlds Beyond releases, they seem to have planned for 2 more OG Shadowverse tournaments, one last JCG and an online BO1 tournament with a 1 million yen prize pool. I'm not sure if overseas participation will be allowed though, considering they didn't announce this anywhere on the official English sources. The usual offline Rage events will also continue to be held in Japan for Worlds Beyond sometime in autumn this year. And they will also continue to hold the Pro League, though there will be some changes. For this year at least, there won't be a Take-Two section, and they will instead be working with creators to add more entertaining sections to the event, so there's more stuff for the audience to participate in. A bit strange that they left all of this out in the English version, but if I were to guess, I would say that maybe they thought all of these events were mainly in Japan and done in Japanese, so the overseas audience might not be too interested. Who knows really? Next, the question about whether you'll be allowed to dust all copies of cards that have been nerfed regardless of whether you fulfilled the 3 copy minimum. It seems like they'll be changing the compensation system to just straight up giving you the vials based on how many copies of the card you own, with animated copies being worth more vials as well. Seems like a good change, and it'll let you keep the card too in case you find some use for it later on. The next question was about daily missions. You'll continue to get daily missions for playing the game, which they've renamed to normal missions. And in addition to that, there will also be Shadowverse Park missions that allow you to open chests for rewards as well. As someone who's not very social, I'm more than a little concerned about the Shadowverse Park missions, so hopefully those won't be too bad. As for normal missions, I'm fine as long as they remove the private match mission and make it so they actually reset at the start of the day instead of the annoying 21-hour cooldown system they currently use. And finally, they clarified more about Crests, which are the new system for leader effects. Apparently, if you try to get more than 5 crests, it just won't work and there won't be any overriding or replacement of crests that you currently hold. Also, crests given to you by your opponent will also count towards your 5 crest limit, so this might eventually add some strategic element where you can deny your opponent's leader effect by sticking one on them first, or allow you to maybe block leader effects from the enemy by filling up your crest slots yourself. Might make for some interesting plays in the future when they add more cards that give crests. Before we end though, there's one more thing to talk about, which is the new legendary they revealed during the event, Ruler of Cocytus. I don't really know how to pronounce it, to be honest. This card is a new take on the classic, coming in as a whopping 10 cost 10/10 follower with a fanfare to replace your deck with a 10 card Apocalypse deck. This time there seem to only be 4 possible cards and the ratios of each card is probably random. Here are the possible options. Most of these seems quite strong, though you will note that there is now a lack of card draw and healing in this pool. In exchange, the average damage output of the Apocalypse card pool is quite high now. In addition, Astaroth's Awakening might still be the same, but with the addition of Super Evolution, you can now pull off OTKs by pairing this card with either a 0 play point follower or a 1 play point follower if you save your extra play points for it. Pretty strong stuff. Overall, I'd say we did get some pretty nice information out of this session. I'm sure there's still a lot of questions that remain unresolved, but hopefully we'll get more information as the release date of the game approaches. There's still almost 3 months to go after all. Anyway, that's it for today. See you next time. Bye bye.